Welcome to Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, wellness, fitness. Today, we begin our look at high school football in the Cooley region with head football coach at Aquinas High School, Tom Lee, along with Bryce Lee, Jake Savoldeli. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Excitement, anticipation, hope, all those things as training camp begins. As we tape the show here on July 31st, camp starts this afternoon for the Aquinas Blue Goals. All those things wrapped into the excitement of not too many hours from now, the whistle blows, practice begins.
So we've got, we'll be doing equipment handout actually tomorrow morning, and then we can get full on into our meetings and practice. Right now, the day before is always exciting and super stressful because I'm thinking, man, I forgot something. What did I forget? What am I missing? So I'm trying to go through that checklist and mark all the boxes, and I think we're ready to go.
Well,
the football part's the best part, though.
Training camp has evolved, changed, and so on dramatically over the years since you played, since I played, since I coached. There's more restrictions. There's a different approach in terms of contact, and everything has changed for the good. Maybe share some changes you've seen that our viewers would enjoy knowing.
Well, the way it starts out, this is WIA regulations. We go 2 days in just helmets, and I call it our underwear, so shorts and T-shirts and helmets. So we got 2 days of that. So that'll be Wednesday and Thursday. And then we're going to go helmets and shoulder pads on Friday and Saturday, and then we got Sunday off. And then come back on Monday and just on shoulder pads. So honestly, we have a scrimmage in Prairie du Chien, and we'll be in pads for only 2 days. And then we'll go back to playing in our underwear on Thursday before the scrimmage because we want to keep their legs. So we really script that stuff down to, like we've been working on that for a long time. There's not the Oklahoma drills and that kind of stuff to start out anymore. I think, I'd hope football has made me smarter.
Yeah.
And I know that people have issues of not getting smarter with football sometimes, but I hope that it's made us as our coaching staff, and I think coaches overall.
John Gruden says that training camp is to challenge athletes both physically and mentally. How do you do that?
I will say this. I think because we were so thin and relatively young the last couple of years, we probably didn't put our foot on the accelerator like we needed to. And I think last year we weren't tough enough until our third game. Now, we weren't good enough at that point, but we at least got tough enough. We're going to go hard at camp, and the boys don't know this yet. Our staff we just met as a staff, and we're basically going to have a hard day and then a light day, and a hard day and a light day. And it's not hard where we're slamming into each other, but hard of we're going to gas them and condition them, and we want them exhausted because that's how you build that up. And we've not always done the best job because of our numbers and, quite frankly, mistakes that I made, I think.
Well, I mean, we all make mistakes and we learn. It's an ongoing journey that we're on, but certainly the conditioning minimizes oftentimes the amount of injuries. Mm-hmm. But Bryce, training camp for you will be you're a 3-year starter, senior, offensive line, defensive line. You started your sort of preparation, an exciting opportunity at a summer camp at North Dakota State University. Now, we all know your skills, and I've talked about your skills every single year that you've played since a freshman on our show, and I know you watch all of our rebroadcasts of games, so you probably know how high we are on Bryce Lee. Talk about your mental and physical preparation for training camp.
Well, this summer I made every day a lifting in the morning for morning lifting. We do that at 6:30, and a lot of guys decide to sleep in, but there's also a lot of people that get up and decide to get better, and that's good to see.
Well, it's good to see because of your commitment, and that's why you're a 3-year starter. And you were all conference on both sides of the ball last year, and I advocated for that, no question. Jake Savoldeli, you don't take a back seat to Bryce Lee or anyone else on the team. How have you prepared? And you will be, I would assume, a 3-year starter. You started as a sophomore and junior, and a senior quarterback, multiple positions. But are you ready?
Yeah, I think, I'm definitely ready. Just like Bryce, I mean, I didn't make as many days for lifting as he did, but I'd say this year for lifting, I just, like when I got to the weight room, I just focused more on like getting the stuff done. Like when I was younger in high school, like I didn't really think about it as much, but now that I'm older and more experienced and know what it takes, I really went at it this summer.
Well, you're both going to be leaders, and being an athlete, you're on a platform. Now, some young athletes, some high school athletes don't understand that they're on a platform. And young people at Aquinas and other schools, elementary schools, are looking up at senior athletes. Is that a challenge? And how do you envision displaying your leadership during the season, Jake?
Just basically trying to make the younger kids better. I mean, in the end, it's a team sport, so it all comes down to everyone working together to get the goal done.
A lot of people are looking at Bryce Lee, started as a freshman and will be has the ability to play collegiately, and people are looking at you, whether you're on the field, whether you're in the mall, whether you're at festival foods as a part-time employee, whether you're in the school, in the lunchroom, or in the hallway. They're looking, there's Bryce Lee. Someday I'd like to be in his position. How are you demonstrating and letting people know that you are an Aquinas Blue Gold student athlete?
Well, I remember when I used to be like younger, like my brothers are, and I used to look up to people that were like really good football players, and they were pretty good guys too. So I just want to be a good role model to people like that.
Good. Well, as we talked about, Coach, the season starting, equipment handout today, and so the season's basically on the horizon. Tomorrow, as you begin your practice, talk about the message that you're going to share tonight, tomorrow, goals for the season, and what you expect from your athletes.
Absolutely. Before I do that, I'm gonna pump these two guys up a little bit, and this is important and if you're a young kid, listen to this. Three-sport athlete, that's super important, man. Those guys have really worked hard. So they don't realize maybe that. We really, really push being a multi-sporter and a three-sporter, especially at our school. And there's probably some kids that go, man, I wasn't going to do a winter sport, but you know what? I know Bryce played basketball. It's probably not his favorite sport, but he could help the team, and that helped out. So,
well, if I can comment on that, I'm an absolute advocate on three-sport athletes. Yeah. No question about it. Our kids were three-sport athletes, and I just think there's a lot to be said for that. So, and student athletes. But I'm glad you shared that. So let's go back to the message that you would like to share.
Well, without a doubt, we've had 2 back-to-back difficult seasons, and we kind of saw that was coming. I mean, we didn't know how difficult it was going to be, but we knew it was going to be a struggle. And I think the most exciting thing, and what I'm going to reiterate to these guys when the whole team is in the meeting, is what we saw in the offseason. I think, first of all, these guys would probably be in agreement. They're tired of being the whipping boys, and they've kind of taken it upon themselves to like hitch their belts up and work hard. Now, it's not going to be easy. I mean, we got our work cut out for us. But nothing's easy is a 4-letter word, right? Like that's a bad word. It's going to be worth it. I think the other thing that's really, really exciting is when we had our summer contact days. One of, I think, our big concerns coming in is who's going to lead? How is that going to happen? Because we've got guys that are willing to follow. But how's that going to work? And some of the stuff that I saw was just fantastic communication, player to player, and I think a lot of it is more experience. I saw some fantastic just leadership. These guys, I mean, Bryce is the sheriff, and Jake's the general, and I think guys kind of understand that, And what I've seen from them is super, super exciting. So we got to take those kind of intangibles, and build with the athletics and the other kind of thing on that.
Joe Gibbs has a book out, and I've read it a couple of times. And he talks about culture begins in the locker room. And it begins with players, not buying in, but locking in. There's a big difference between buying in and locking in. And making sure there's no poison in the locker room, making sure that everyone understands their role, making sure that those that are at a level where they shouldn't be are brought up to the level they should be. That's your job, Bryce. You're a coach in the locker room. That's your job, Jake, as a senior. How do you do that?
Well, first we gotta we're having a lot of incoming freshmen, and I think they're going to realize right away that we get first dibs at stuff. But they're still part of the team, and they still matter, and they're our future. So we still have to bring them along and teach them our way.
In the NFL, at training camp, the rookies, to you, the freshmen, at the high school level, have to sing a song. Will you make them do that?
I'll probably make them sing something. I don't know a song yet.
They get to choose their own song?
Yeah.
Jake, if I asked you to sing a song on the show today, would you be able to sing one?
I don't think so.
What do you mean? Don't you have some background in singing, don't you?
No, not really.
Really?
Bryce and I did choir in 7th grade together. That's about it.
So there's an athlete on the field or in the locker room that maybe doesn't understand the role of a blue gold student athlete, or maybe is just struggling. Come on, not everybody's at the top of their game all the time. Struggling with multiple things, on the verge of maybe quitting. We see that all the time. Jake Savoldeli steps in, notices that. What do you do?
Take that kid underneath my wing. It's like I said before, it's a team. It's like a family. So everyone's together. You don't leave one kid out. That's not how it's gonna work.
So the old acronym team, together everyone accomplishes more. That's kind of your role, right?
Yep.
Well, Jake, you're a multiple sport athlete. Any favorite?
Probably. I mean, I like all three of them, all three sports that I play, but I'd probably say baseball is my favorite.
Boy, you were on a state championship team.
Yep.
But football, quarterback, is that kind of where you're going to be?
Yeah, I think so.
And possibly defensive back?
Maybe linebacker.
Maybe a linebacker, too. You have the build of a linebacker. And Bryce, again, before we go to break, you were all-conference last year, and I hope you stay healthy so you're all-conference again this year. Quickly, goals for you for this season?
Probably to hit someone down almost every play.
to put someone horizontal.
Yes.
And which means you never give up. You just keep your legs going, and you continue working till the whistle blows. Till the whistle blows. A lot of athletes don't do that. They just make one hit, and then they just stop and look and see what happens. That's not going to be you, is it?
No.
Speaking of the whistle blowing, it just blew, which means we got to take a halftime break. So we're going to step aside for just a minute. When we come back, more as we look at Aquinas Football Football 2018. We'll be right back.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, my guests today, we're looking at, by the way, our first show of high school football 2018. Head coach Tom Lee, Bryce Lee, Jake Savoldeli, Aquinas Blue Goals. As I look at the schedule, Coach, you're at Prairie du Chien on August 17th, and then on August 25th, your home opener at UWL, tentatively, game time 1 o'clock, and we will broadcast that game here live and on tape delay here on KQEG, so I'm looking forward to seeing the Blue Goals on that Saturday afternoon. and then you're into the season, the MVC season. Here's the thing I struggle with. You can react to this. 3 games, Coach, before school even starts. 3 games before Labor Day. Does that make sense?
Well, you know what? We were talking about it. So we actually started a little bit earlier at Aquinas than the publics do. So by the 3rd day of school, we'll have our 3rd game in. The public schools will have 3 in before their 1st day of school. It kind of, this is a horrible quote, but it is what it is. I think the WIA tried to solve the problem of the playoffs of playing a Thursday, Tuesday, Saturday. By spreading that out, they wanted to keep their championship the week before Thanksgiving, so that bumps everything back. So actually, from a football coach perspective, we're behind schedule because typically we could go equipment handout on Monday, then you would start practice on Tuesday, and and I think rightly too, they didn't want to start in July. That early July start seems intimidating. They think that's going to be, kids play baseball all summer. When do they get time? And we do. We ask a lot of our kids, and I think all programs kind of do. So yeah, go ahead.
It's easy to be critical, and I'm not meaning to be critical, except it concerns me when you start your season August 1st. I looked at the calendar in 2019 and 20, and it's starting early again. I really think that is one of, and I've read articles, so the authors know more than I do about the decrease in numbers, much of that relating to injuries and so on, but and the numbers in decreasing in high school football, some of it's because you start the season too early. I think if you look at the calendar and maybe cut down a game or however you want to do it, you can start the season 2 weeks later, and you'll get a lot more athletes interested.
There has been some talk of going to that 8-game plus 1. So if you make the playoffs, there's your 9th game, week 1 of the playoffs. If you don't make the playoffs, you match up with somebody who also didn't make the playoffs. So there's been some talk of that. I think other states have done that as well. I think everything is worth examining. I don't think anything should be off the table because if it's for the good of the sport, by 2020 there might be football-only conferences if everything goes forward.
Speaking of there's always subject to change, and we'll just kind of do this briefly because I know a lot of our viewers are interested in Aquinas Blue Gold and what's going to happen. This is the last year in the MVC 2019, kind of an independent schedule. I looked at it briefly. 2020, of course, we read in the Lacrosse Tribune last week, the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association, after all this conjecture and all the discussion over the last probably 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, re-examining and developing different conferences based on geography, based on enrollment, and so on. So the conference in 2020, the Blue Goals into the Cooley Conference. Thoughts?
Exciting. I think it'll be good for us. I think it'll be good for Football Wisconsin. But honestly, that's like 3 conferences from now. We've got our Prairie du Chien and Pacelli, and then the MVC we worry about this year, and then next year we got to worry about our non-conference games and Mineral Point and Fenimore and those guys south. So if this goes through, which I think it probably will, and I hope it will, that's so far down the pipeline. Like, all we care about is like getting our helmets on the first day right now.
One last quick question, and I know viewers want to know this. If you do move in 2020 to the Cooley, and there's a little bit of an adjustment with the MVC, with River Falls, and with the Scenic Bluffs, and with the SWAL, and we won't go into that, when does that vote take place?
My understanding is it'll take place late in 2018. And then there will be a vote early 2019. So it might be a December-ish, November or December 2018 vote by the Board of Control, by the WIA. Then there's always a 30-day appeal period for everyone to look at it and say, okay, here's some unintended consequences, things like that. And then they go back and vote yes, no, or on that thing.
Part of the show, again, Bryce Lee, Tom Lee, Jake Savoldeli, is to kind of get you to know these athletes up close and personal. Let's do that right now. Starting with Bryce, you're involved in the leadership group Impact. What's Impact at Aquinas?
Impact is a group where we go around and we help people in the community. And this year we did a lot of help with like hurricane stuff because of the hurricanes that happened down south. So
Good
that
for
was
you.
important.
A service component to school, kind of like, I'm not surprised, that's the mission of Aquinas, very similar to Viterbo University. They have a service component to a lot of the things they do. College football, that's on the horizon for Bryce Lee?
Yes.
Any thoughts on where you might go? There's a good program in the area, the UWL Eagles, and we broadcast all their games. And I'm the host of the Mike Schmidt Football Show. Just think about it. You could be a guest on the Mike Schmidt Football Show. What are your options?
I think that would be cool. They haven't really talked to me yet, but there have been some D3 schools that seem interested in me.
I'm sure.
Hey, it's a big Mike Schmidt house at our house. We're big fans of him. I really like him.
So do I. He's a great guy. Playing for your dad. Now, a lot of our viewers probably know that Coach Tom Lee and son Bryce Lee. A lot of can I be treated the same as other players? Expect no more, no less. Don't coach at home. How difficult is it to play for your dad?
Well, I thought it would be more difficult. Like, he'd treat me different, but he doesn't really. He kind of yells at me the same. He yells
Treat them all like dogs, right?
It's a balance, though. I've talked to coaches, Dick Bennett in particular, Coach Tony Bennett in basketball at UW Green Bay and so on. He struggled with it. Is it a struggle for you?
You know what? When Bryce was a freshman, we were short on big guys, and he was 220-ish pound freshman, and I was the last guy to sign off on him playing. All my other coaches said, Tom, he's got to play, he's got to play, he's got to play, and he was the best guy. So I don't ever want to look like I'm giving favoritism to him. I think I also don't want to ride him too hard. I'm sure there's been times where we've been just the two of us or a couple of us in our car driving, and I've had to say, okay, Bryce, this is your coach talking now. And I tell him that I'm your coach, and I'll say, Bryce, this is your dad talking now.
Well, I coached 4 out of our 5 children when they were younger, and you got to be careful, of course, to overcompensate and not play them because you don't want people to think you're favorites, and that is wrong too. So I'm glad your coaches talked you into putting him in the lineup. Jake's saying, "Don't forget about me, Jake Savoldeli." Yeah, just kind of a rapid-fire drill. You're involved in leadership too, math club, and I wasn't in the math club for some reason. Impact, it's a big part of who you are.
Yep. Yeah, basically, I'm trying to be known as like someone who like puts others first and helps people out. Like other people need help like in the community and like everywhere, but like I have it pretty good, but I know some are less fortunate than me. So basically, like whether it's like through Impact or like just through school, like just helping someone out, it just makes me feel better, and that's the person that I am.
Put others first.
Yep.
That's who you are, and I knew that because someone else told me that's what you're all about. Is that what you learned from mom and dad?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are times where I'm at home and they kind of like, it's like not the same around them sometimes, but they know, like they tell me all the time, like that's what you gotta do. That's how you're supposed to, that's what God put you on this earth to do.
That's awesome. A couple other rapid fire questions. What's something that our viewers may not know about Jake Savoldeli?
Oh, I put down that most people probably don't know that I have type 1 diabetes.
And so you've overcome that, and that's there was somebody on our show recently from Logan, a student athlete that has type 1 diabetes, a female runner, and it was just an awesome story. Do you struggle with that?
It was kind of hard when I first like found out that I had it, but like over the years I've kind of learned how to adjust to it, and like there'll be times where I'm like why me? But like then I just think, and it's like also my mom, she'll tell me like that's just what makes you different, and like you just gotta work through it, keep going.
I'll change that. That's what makes you special. Any of our viewers here that have that know people or want more information, or maybe can call me at the studio here, or Jay can talk about how you handle something like that. Role model? Who inspired you?
My grandpa, because basically the story is my grandpa was having like kidney problems and stuff, so he had to get his like legs amputated, both of them. So and I'll go to dialysis Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So basically just him always keeping a smile on his face, it just lightens up my day.
Lightens up anybody's
Grandpa
day.
Joe is a prince. That's a great guy. Great guy.
Absolutely. And as we kind of sign off today, in career, in a few years, where will Jake Savoldeli be?
In a few years, I'll go to college somewhere and probably try to play baseball somewhere.
And maybe the medical field?
Yep, maybe something like that.
And who has inspired you, Bryce Lee?
Muhammad Ali.
Really?
Because
I read about him.
He's a great fighter, and he had a very good work ethic, and he stood up for some stuff that was tough to stand up for.
Social justice.
Yeah, and whether it was he did the right thing, even though it was really hard and it almost cost him his career.
And a few years from now, what kind of career are you going to
Probably
be involved
business, Skinner.
Some kind of business. Someone on the watching wonder what do we know? What don't we know about Bryce Lee? What would that be?
SpongeBob. It's my favorite TV show.
Really?
Watch it every morning.
Really? I can't say that I've ever seen it, but maybe I'll watch it now just because I'm curious. Well, it's been interesting and enjoyable. Hope our viewers enjoyed it too, like I did, having a friend of mine, Tom Lee, along with Bryce Lee and Jake Savoldeli, and I'm an Aquinas fan, and I think you know that, and I appreciate the efforts and what the school and the program's all about. So have a great season as you begin at Prairie du Chien on 17th of August. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us there.
Thanks.
We'll be back with some closing thoughts. Right?
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
Who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, first, congratulations to the Holman American Legion baseball team that advanced to state again this year, brought home the silver. Another outstanding year, Holman Legion baseball. Football practice begins this week throughout the state of Wisconsin. We have finalized our high school and college schedule for you here on KQEG. We begin our schedule on August 16th as we travel to Eau Claire. The Eau Claire Huskies and the Central Red Raiders. Hope you can join us throughout the year as we will broadcast games every Friday night here on KQEG. We are broadening our list of guests as we look to improve this show. If you have an idea on a topic or a guest, please contact us here at the studio. Check your local listing as we continue to bring you Nights of Thunder Racing every Thursday and Sunday night at 7 p.m. Next week, we profile the defending state football champs from Bangor, the Bangor Cardinals. Head coach Kevin Krovic with a pair of seniors, Carter Horseman and Trevor Jones. Well, thanks for joining us here this week. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping you will have an active and a healthy week ahead.